Well, hello. Welcome to our third webinar. Today we're very excited to have with us Tony Lam. Tony is a visionary, entrepreneur, and technologist in the hospitality industry. He has over 13 years of franchise experience running sales, marketing, and operations for 5 Wingstop locations in the Bay Area. Tony is also president of the San Francisco Bay Area Wingstop Marketing Co-op, overseeing a marketing budget of more than $1.5 million annually. On top of that, he's also the co-owner of Mavens Creamery, Okashi Fusion, and Gilroy Marketplace, as well as an investor in a number of startups such as Alamar, Kia, and Torchfee. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Tony.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. So today's webinar is really trying to get the perspective from merchants kind of on the marketing aspects, and I have some questions I wanted to lead in with you, Tony. So when we look at fundraisers, I'm curious, why do you participate in fundraisers?
I participate in fundraisers because one of the biggest things that a lot of organizations that I'm involved with are, especially schools, are looking for raising funds for school supplies, field trips, and educational workshops. Because of budget cuts, through the state, they're looking at different ways to raise money. And all the schools and other organizations, they like to support local, okay? And so giving back to the community not only makes me feel better, but I know that I have the backing of the local community when I'm doing fundraisers. So that's primarily the reason why.
So in these fundraisers, do you often have specific goals that you're trying to achieve for your business?
Yeah, so one of the things we want to do obviously is try to get, if they could bring in new customers for us, right? So that's the whole goal, is getting new customers in the door. This is another marketing channel that we look at when we're trying to bring in new customers. Normally, these nonprofit organizations have access to hundreds of potential customers within our 5-mile radius from our business.
Okay, great. So here at Contribulet, we believe that fundraisers, as you mentioned, represent a great market opportunity for local businesses to promote themselves in the community. How should businesses market themselves when participating in fundraisers? What are things that they should be doing?
Yeah, so businesses should be, they definitely should have a marketing budget, and they should have at least $500, I think, is a good number to start with. That you need to spend marketing dollars to drive in additional customers. So for doing fundraising, what I normally do is I set goals. Okay, I incentivize a fundraising group by saying, hey, I have different tiers of sales go. So if you hit $500 in sales, you bring in $500 in business for me during that fundraiser, I'll donate 10% of the proceeds back to your organization. If you raise 1,000, it might go to 15%. If it goes to 1,500, we're looking at 25. So by doing this, you kind of have them promote your business, aggressively to get additional customers to come to your business.
Okay. So over the last decade or so, we've seen an explosion on the internet, and I'm curious as to how important is it for a business to have an online presence?
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, whenever someone builds a website, the very first thing they need to have is a website. Okay, they need to have a website, and people want to read about your business. They want to learn more about your business. So where's the best place to go see that? It would be on your website. So absolutely spend a couple $1,000s in having an awesome website with awesome photos of the product.
So do you think it's a challenge for owners because we hear a lot about the need to constantly refresh content.
Correct.
And that takes time and effort.
Correct.
So for those businesses that you've worked on that have been successful with an online presence, is there really a concerted effort then to keep that content fresh?
Yes. In addition to that, social media is also a must. You have to have a Facebook page. You have to have Instagram. I'm speaking on behalf of the restaurant industry,
Okay.
right? Because when people see a beautiful shot of the food and they're looking at it, it looks really good. That's what drives people, into the door. So content is really key, especially video. I'm finding out that video attracts more views than just still photos. Now, me as a business owner being so busy, there are services out there that manages social media, your social media pages. Okay, there are services like that out there that we go out, we hire. They take professional photos for us. They manage our website, and they also do our video content for us. And so you need that engagement with your fans. To let them know about new products or new flavors that are coming out. The information is basically spread out through social media.
Okay. So when we talk about social media, I mean, clearly we know that Facebook is one of the major players. Are there other platforms that business owners should be aware of?
Yeah. So for me, guys, we look at Yelp and delivery services as two of the places to drive traffic. Yelp has a niche market in restaurants. So personally, when I go to a city that I'm not very familiar with and I'm hungry, the very first thing I'll do is I'll open up Yelp and I'll filter on restaurants that are doing 4 stars and above. So there's a love-hate relationship with Yelp, but I have to say, I do get quite a bit of new customers, like saying, when I ask them, well, how did you hear about us? They'll say, oh yeah, I found you on Yelp, and I looked at your restaurant and you had a 4-star or 4.5 star. So it's very important that you keep your Yelp rating very high because based on my experience, a lot of customers use Yelp. Okay. The other thing right now to drive up sales is delivery services. Ever since we use delivery services, our sales have gone up double digits. So definitely that's another area. Now, each one of these marketing channels, there's obviously a cost associated to each one of them. And it can get expensive, like I'll tell you right now, Yelp, we're using Yelp right now. We have their basic package. We spend about $375, okay, and per month that is. Okay. Yeah. Delivery services, they charge on transaction base, so they can charge anywhere between 20 to 35% on delivery. I'll give you some numbers. On the average, some of my restaurants are doing close to $10,000 in delivery services. So 20% of that $10,000, $2,000 is what they're getting. But the thing about delivery is everybody wants convenience.
Right.
They're willing to pay for convenience. So that's why there's a lot of people using these delivery services. And so you don't want to miss out on that opportunity if you're not on that platform.
Sure. So when you look at kind of the different pricing models for these various services, do you actually favor the transaction-based type of pricing model versus where you're paying a flat fee per month regardless of how much that service you're using?
Yeah, so obviously there's definitely pros and cons because in a transaction model, essentially they're guaranteeing you a customer, right? So they would only charge you a fee if they made a delivery for you. With Yelp, I pay a fixed fee. It shows up when someone is reviewing a website, so it's based on impressions.
Right.
So they get a flat fee this amount, but it doesn't guarantee me any money. It doesn't mean that there's a conversion.
Sure.
So, you got to work the economics to see which one is better than the other. Right now, I'm just trying to gain more new customers, so I'm doing both at the same time, and I'll be able to evaluate that. I want to give it a long period of time to make my decision.
Sure.
On it.
I mean, I can see where it'd be difficult with things like Yelp, where you're really talking more about impressions and being able to actually track that and saying, okay, I invested X amount of money. How has that translated into actually increasing my business?
Correct.
So that kind of as a lead into the next question, which is really about what do you see as being the key benefits of having an online presence, of doing online marketing?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that you want to drive traffic to your website. So one of the key things that we are also doing today is running Facebook ads. Okay. So again, Facebook has over 2 billion users today. And so, it's a marketer's dream come true to be able to target market the demographic that I'm looking at.
Right.
Okay. I give you an example of some of the campaigns that we're doing today and why it's so important that we're able to track this. And so one of the campaigns that we ran for Wingstop was we wanted to give 5 free boneless wings out. And let's see, how many people would be attractive to that aggressive marketing tactic.
Sure.
Okay. We ran this campaign for 7 days. Okay. We gave a promo code associated to this campaign so that when there's a call to action and they're clicking on the ad, it goes to our website.
Okay.
Our website is able to collect online ordering. So when they're placing their order, they're purchasing wings, we tell them to enter that promo code. Okay.
Right.
And what we found out when we did this campaign was we were able to generate over $53,000 worth of revenue. And we only spent $1,500 on Facebook ads.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good return on investment.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a, huge opportunity. And for us, a lot of people were very happy to see that statistic. So one of the metrics that we use when we're doing digital marketing is a metric called ROAS, which stands for Return on Ad Spend. Okay? In this particular campaign, we basically, for every dollar that we spent on marketing, we were able to generate $35 in sales, which is incredible. I mean, if you could just only imagine, if I went to, a buddy of mine who owns a restaurant, hey, I could generate $35 in sales if you only had to spend $1 on marketing. Who wouldn't jump on,
Yeah, you're right.
something like that, So Facebook is a game changer. I mean, I do see some of the benefits. Now, I'm not going to lie and tell you that every single campaign works, because we did another campaign that was less aggressive and had much lower redemption. Okay, so we do a lot of A/B testing.
Okay.
So we're going to try to do everything from, let's do a 10% off versus a 30% off, or maybe $5 off if you spend over $30, or $10 if you spend over $25. We tried different types of marketing campaigns to see which one is effective. Okay, and knowing that, down the road we can use that same campaign if we really wanted to. Okay.
So like an A/B testing, you would take 2 different approaches and run them simultaneously.
Correct.
And then basically see which one actually gives you a higher return.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
So that's really interesting when you talk about online presence. I guess when I think about my own experience, I don't really see a lot of businesses promoting things online.
Yeah.
it seems like most of it is, you see coupons and that kind of thing. What do you think are some of the key drawbacks when you kind of think about the more traditional ways of advertising the business?
I just think, some business owners just don't have enough time to put into their website. I think that they need to,
Okay.
they're using social media, yes, absolutely, but at the end of the day, if you want to run these effective marketing campaigns through Facebook, and you want to be able to track, the conversion rate,
Sure.
you're going to need a website and that type of capability to be able to do that.
Okay. So we've been talking about fundraising, and I guess I have a question. What does a successful fundraiser look like to you?
A successful fundraiser, okay, yeah. So, a successful fundraiser to me is bringing in, a new customer that's never been to my store. As a business owner, you got to really believe in your product. And when I say that, what I mean is you have to believe that when they are going into your establishment, they have a great experience, great customer service, and the product is great, that you should be able to convert that as a repeat customer every single time. And what fundraisers, the goal that I'm getting out of fundraisers are people who have who want to support the community,
Right.
But have never been one of my regular customers. And I know that if I'm able to bring them in, okay,
Right.
I would be able to convert them to be a repeat customer. And so my goal is to be able to convert this new marketing channel of potential leads to be a repeat customer,
Okay.
and to help bring up my sales.
Okay, great. So let's maybe talk a little more tactically around fundraisers, just kind of give everyone a better sense of, when you look across the stores that you are involved with, how many fundraising requests do they typically receive, either per month or annually?
We get quite a bit of schools and clubs. So from PTA to various clubs in high schools. I would say on the average, I would probably get anywhere between 12 to 16 on an annual basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how varied are these requests? Because we know that, there are a lot of different kinds of fundraisers that clubs will run, where a business will donate product,
Correct.
or may donate cash or gift cards.
Correct. So what I've done is I choose the slowest day during the week.
Okay.
Okay. And our slowest day is typically on a Wednesday for most of the restaurants, for most businesses, because you don't want to really necessarily do a fundraiser on your busy days, because that just means that you're stressing out the staff members, right? And if you're doing it on a busy day, you might have long lines, and customers aren't happy with long lines and waiting so long for their product. So what we'll do is we'll tell the fundraiser organization, hey, let's do a fundraiser on Wednesday, and I try to do things differently. For example, my Wingstop, we have a atomic wing flavor challenge. So what I did was be kind of creative, right?
Yeah.
So I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to invite the 5 teachers to take on the Wingstop challenge, and for if each one of them eats 5 wings, I'm going to donate $50 to the school. And the principal has to be one of the faculty members.
Okay.
And so you get all the kids to. They want to support their teacher, and they want to see their teacher eat an atomic wing, and see them, fire coming out of their ears and everything like that, And so I'll give you an example. That fundraiser, we normally do, I should just tell you, we did about $2,000 more on that Wednesday by
Okay.
doing this
Fundraising.
by doing this fundraiser. Yeah. So you got to be creative and do things like that. I also donate food to faculty
Okay.
at the schools.
Right.
So that's another way of getting the word out as well as part of the fundraiser. And yeah, there are schools or organizations that ask for gift cards where they have silent auctions.
Okay.
And we've done that to promote the business as well. And they get funds for the school on the silent auctions.
Okay, that's great. That's a really good input on fundraisers. So we heard about some of the benefits of doing fundraising from a marketing channel perspective and trying to get the word about the business out into the community. But there's probably there's always two sides to every coin. So on the
Yeah.
flip side, what are some of the challenges as a business owner you face when trying to deal with these different nonprofits and other organizations?
Yeah. So, obviously I've learned a lot throughout the years, and, you want to help these organizations out. And so some of these guys, they come and they ask for money and support for their organization, and you give them a whole week to do fundraising, and then all we get is maybe $100 in additional sales. And so, even I'm embarrassed a little bit to give them a $10 check.
Right.
So what I've learned to do, in like I mentioned earlier, is to have give them a guideline and say, hey, I need you to do the following items or task to make this fundraiser effective. I need you to make an announcement on the morning announcements. That's
Okay.
one thing.
Right.
When I was the PTA president for my son's school, I had the school. They have like an audio system or telephone system where they make announcement. They'll call out all the parents and remind the parents of the upcoming fundraising event at Wingstop.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of promoting it and getting the word out.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. And then, like I said, you want to incentivize them by saying, hey, if you, aggressively go out and promote, like I said, if you have a $500 tier sales, we donate 10%. We'll donate up to 30% if you do over $3,000.
Right.
And so these have been some of the effective ways we've been able to help fundraisers, be successful, in their campaigns.
Sure. So in addition to the nonprofit promoting their event, do you also then promote that event on your Facebook page, for example?
Yes, we have a Facebook page. We will make an announcement to say so-and-so organization is going to be here on Wednesday. Please come out and support them.
Mm-hmm.
So we also do that type of communication too.
Okay. And so from, I guess, a time commitment point of view, when you look at kind of participating in fundraisers, how much of the time does that really take to handle the communication and back and forth?
It's a lot of work, Steve. I'm not going to lie. The other challenge, you're right, I forgot. The other challenge is, 2,000 in additional sales is actually pretty significant. And if you're not properly staffed, and you might that new customers that you're trying to bring in might have a really bad experience. Right. Because now they're like, wow, I didn't know I had to wait 45 minutes for my food. So the planning of and estimating how many guests you're going to get in needs to be there, so that you must staff appropriately. The time that you're spending with the organizer, you're taking maybe at least 3 separate meetings, just to make sure that everything is laid out and so forth. That's basically the two challenges that, my time and also staffing appropriately.
Well, I can imagine, that must be kind of difficult, though, if you're dealing with, let's say, a new organization.
Yeah.
Of being to kind of figure out what kind of turnout are you going to have for
Correct.
a given fundraiser.
Yeah.
To figure out what staffing you need.
Correct. So if we knew ahead of time, right? If we knew ahead of time, if there was a way to know ahead of time how many people were coming, then I could estimate and staff appropriately.
Right. Okay. So that there could be a benefit potentially if you had something, let's say, online that gave you a much better read
Correct.
as to how broad this fundraiser is.
Absolutely.
And how many supporters have signed up to attend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tony, you mentioned some of the challenges that you have working with fundraisers. I'm curious about email communication. How much back and forth is there that you have to do with a fundraiser?
We get quite a bit of back and forth communication because they're trying to understand and get things ready for the fundraising event. So, I mean, during this time, I would say minimum at least 10 to 15 emails, interactions of going back and forth.
Boy, that must take a lot of time.
Absolutely. Especially for a busy business owner.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the next question. So, previously you mentioned the fact that one of your goals is to be able to convert supporters of different fundraisers into long-term customers. How do you do that? How do you know who they are when they come through your doors?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Today, there is no real way for us to track, if that customer came from that fundraising event. All we're able to do in our POS system is be able to identify, when someone places an order, we press a button to say that was part of the fundraising event, but we don't have any information about that particular customer. We're just counting the transactions that belong to that fundraiser.
You've run the Successful Fundraiser, and I'm curious as to how much work there's on the back end to kind of track the sales, to figure out how much money was raised by the organization. I mean, do you do it through your point of sale system, or do you do it manually?
It's all manual, Steve. If there was a better way of doing it, I would totally go for it. But the process that what we do today is during our fundraising event, I give them a coupon that says this is for this fundraiser event. When they go up to the POS system, that particular customer will say, I am part of this fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
We will take their coupon, we will staple the receipt to it,
okay.
And then we have a shoebox. And we put the receipt in that shoebox. And, there's sometimes what we've also found out is sometimes the person forgot to mention they're part of that organization. So that organization doesn't even get credit for that transaction. And we want to be helping the school, so
Sure.
We want to ensure that all the transactions are accounted for. So at the end of the evening, I would open up the shoebox. I would tally up every single one of the receipts,
Okay.
put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and get a final count. And then I would then have to send this to my accounting department for them to write a check and then mail the check to that organization.
Sounds like a pretty involved process.
It is.
Well, hey, Tony, I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us about fundraisers and sharing your experience with us on your own participation in fundraisers. You point out some of the great benefits of doing kind of the online marketing around fundraisers, as well as some of the challenges that businesses face when working with fundraising organizations. If you're a business owner who's interested in streamlining your participation in the process of working with fundraisers, please visit www.contribulet.com. Contribulet is a new online platform really geared at helping businesses manage fundraisers. The platform features automated email communication with the fundraisers. On the platform, you can sell e-gift cards for your business. That will provide you with more visibility when you're looking at in-restaurant types of events to know how many supporters will show up. We also have 24/7 access to all the transaction data. And best of all, we're also integrated with the most popular POS systems out there to simplify the transactions. And finally, when you're looking at trying to convert those supporters into long-term customers, we actually have the contact information for those supporters so you can reach out to supporters with promotions, etc. So once again, www.contribulet.com. Join Contribulet and help us build a better community. And we thank you for viewing and attending this webinar.